Hello and welcome to Shite Talk, an Irish history podcast that's also sometimes half Australian. This week's episode we talk to Damo Clarke of RTE fame, comic book artist, and one of the two MCs of the Clarke Comedy Club in Dublin City. And we had him on as the resident Australian man of Ireland to talk about the subject of this week's episode, a Monaghan man by the name of Alexander Pearce who found himself in Australia. And we'd like to dedicate this episode to Mahu Monaghan and his family. We had actually written and were planning to record this episode, and the day before we were going to record it, he messaged us to suggest that we do it. So this is for you, and also because you came to the James Joyce show last week, which was great. And a big thanks to Donald Fallon again for that. We had a great time, and hopefully we'll be back soon with more live stuff. But if you want to hear the live shows and all the other bonus stuff, head over to the Patreon. This month we put up the live show from Mullingar where we talked about Joe Dolan, the Film Club episode where we talked about War of the Buttons, the bonus stuff that we did with Shane Clifford. There's like another hour of us just talking about films and stuff. And just yesterday we put up the live episode we did in Carlow about Miles Kyo, and we did that with Shannon Basso-Gall. That was a lot of fun as well. I haven't listened to that yet, but I will once I've done recording this, and so should you. But yeah, that was all that stuff in 1 month. Well, what a bargain for a fiver. And we're about to record the next film club with our friend Matthew Tallon. We're going to be watching the 1970 adaptation of Philadelphia Here I Come. So that'll be up on the Patreon early next month. But anyway, that's the pitch for the Patreon. There'll be a link for that in the description of the episode, as well as a link to Damo Clarke stuff, the Clarke Comedy Club, which you should definitely check out if you're in Dublin. It's a great spot. They also have a podcast as well, which Damo will talk about a bit at the end. But before all that, here's this week's episode all about the clonus Cannibal.
Gather around now, you're in for a story. Old tales of lore, all in search of a glory. History and mystery of lads, lasses and all. Discoveries and voyages, the rise and the fall. Follow me now as we go back in time. We trace the steps of Irish heritage to find. Joseph from Carlow and Kevin from Dog guide you through the ways of Shite.
Yeah, I hear a word. Yeah.
Hello! Oh, that's my normal voice.
Well, that's actually how we intro every episode with a big giant hello.
Yeah.
Hello!
You stumbled across the intro. It was a very original intro we came up with where we would just say hello to people. We're here in Mulligan and Haynes, the prestigious,
Prestigious
infamous.
Mulligan and Haynes!
Yeah.
Got his name from one of the puzzles. Another Ulysses reference. There's
Oh, really?
A couple of lads, Mulligan and Haynes, that
Mulligan,
were in
yeah.
a bakery or something. That was
I
on
feel
this
at
spot.
this stage, that's half of Dublin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everywhere.
exactly.
Yeah. He wrote about everywhere. So
Yeah,
it's just-
you know
that's where
that
it's got
spar
his-
down the road?
He got his first pack of Rizzlers. That's where
Yeah.
James Joyce got his first pack of Rizzlers, from that spar across the road.
He was
was
refused a chicken fillet roll at 3 a.m. on a
Yeah.
Saturday night, and he was like, this
Yeah.
is going down in history.
This is going.
This is going into chapter 108.
Chapter 17:6. Bastards. I noticed for the first time that is a like mural or whatever to him downstairs on the back.
Yeah,
The
spray
back
painted
door.
on.
Yeah, in like that Obama style.
Yeah, it looks cool. Oh, James Joyce.
Yeah.
You know, you don't like
I
it?
don't know, man. I'm good. The way you said that, it sounds like you did it. I don't want to lay us
Yeah, I
into
like
it.
any street art of any kind.
Yeah.
And murals to... As far as we know, James Joyce is a good dude.
Yeah.
Any
well,
good people in history,
say, as-
spray paint them all around. There's enough bland walls with
Yes.
nothing on them in the
Nothing
world.
will ever come out about them in the next 100 years. You're fine.
Yeah, I know. Turns out James Joyce, people have come forward and said he was a bit grabby.
Well,
That probably
you-
wouldn't happen now.
No, we're actually doing an episode about James Joyce next week.
Oh,
in Temple Bar.
look at that.
Have you ever heard of his? Have you ever read his like love letters to his wife?
No.
Graphic.
Oh, I haven't read the graphic ones. I don't
Oh.
remember any
They're
bits that made me wince or go, "Ooh, I didn't know his penis was that long."
Oh
Or
no!
whatever.
The length and breadth and what he did with it, all detailed.
So this is before dick pics and Tinder, so that's all they had to do.
Also,
Exactly.
because it's probably mostly lies. If you could just write down how big your dick is.
Yeah.
It's a dick letter. It's
That's
not-
right.
true.
There's
He-
no evidence. You
He
can say whatever
traced
he wants.
the outline of it.
And Irish people do it in the dark anyway. That's what I've come to believe.
That's-
All learned how to
yeah.
do it, which is what I used to do anyway, which is harder when it's very bright out. But I mean, I found a way. I don't want to do it in the...
No, man,
You want to fumble a little bit. And then like you go, look, okay, read my letter, turn the lights off, and just paint the picture, and then he let his
The
wife...
trouble is
fumble
the
about.
timing of it, because if you send off, you know how it is. You get home, you're feeling a little randy, as they would have been back in the day. You whip off a quick letter, send it away. It's like 3 to 6 months before you get a response.
Yeah, and then by that stage, it's not as big as it was. It's
No,
shrunk completely.
yeah. And then it's just a crudely drawn picture of your wife's tits.
Yeah.
But today's story is going to be about a brave,
Pierso,
a
as we
brave
call him in
Monaghan
Australia.
man. Yeah.
Oh, Piercy.
Someone actually saying, because I said this to you a while ago, we'd do this one, and someone last week messaged me randomly from Pierce's hometown and was like, "Oh, you guys should do this story about Alexander Pierce."
And what is
Yeah.
his hometown, or is that me jumping the gun?
No, because it's like the fourth word. It's clones
Clones.
in Monaghan.
Ah.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, I say clones. Well, is it clones?
yeah, I think it's clones, but some
Well,
people
how would
say
it be in their
clones.
accent?
I only know it as clones because of Barry McGuigan,
Oh yeah.
because he was the clone
Oh,
cyclone.
Yeah, the clone cyclone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean-
So cyclone.
I mean,
Yeah.
realistically, the town might have changed its name 40 years ago just because they'd one sports person that were like, we've nothing
yeah.
to rhyme with clonus.
I wouldn't put it because the other you're on about like murals. There's a big graffiti thing on the side of one of the walls in Clonus that says "You're never alone if you're a clone." That's like got the
oh, that's good.
Star Wars clone troopers.
That's good. The clone troopers.
Yeah.
I love it.
So maybe I mean
It has to
between
be clone then.
maybe between Barry McGuigan and after Star Wars, they're like, well, we just change it.
We'll change it to
Clonus. Who cares? Clones is much
It's usually
better.
the shorter is the one that's more popular, really. Unless it's really fun to say, people will go for the shorter version.
That's the most
Wouldn't they?
Australian
Yeah.
thing you've ever said.
Yeah.
That's how.
And that was a really long sentence too, so I should have shortened it.
Well, it's like Muffington, but everyone just calls it Muff.
Yes.
You know?
Exactly. The Muff diving school that they have.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
does
True
exist
place.
somehow.
It's not a crude
It
joke.
does- yeah, there's
well,
one
it
up-
is, but it's on their sign.
Yeah, there's one up in Donegal as well. That is a divers club.
Yep, that's
And-
that's the one I'm thinking of, not Muffington.
Oh, Muff. Yes.
I'm thinking of Muff. Oh, that's actually.
Oh, that's the same place. Yeah.
Oh, right, it is the same place. Oh, yeah.
I just assumed that the name was shortened over time. Or like,
Yeah,
So people keep making fun of Muffington. We need a serious name for the 21st century.
because it was funny. My first house cat, his name was Muff.
Oh yeah.
Well, there were twins with two black cats. There was Muff and Tough. And
Muff and Tough.
Tough was sleek and black,
Mm.
and Muff was obviously real fluffy and black. And
Okay.
they were twins. But like, I didn't, as a kid, I didn't get the joke that my parents had made.
Oh, this was like way back when you were a kid.
This is
yeah.
way back when people had muffs before
Yeah.
because pubic hair is a thing of the past.
It is.
People don't like
It's-
the old pubes, I hear.
Well, look,
nowadays.
depending on the style, there's still some pubes.
Oh,
but
some.
like,
I'm not talking. You don't see a muff as in like.
No,
do you know
not
what I mean?
back in. I've
Hedges.
Seen,
Yeah,
I've
we
seen the
haven't gone
photographs.
biblical times. There's
Nah.
no muffs now that are burning and
Yeah, yeah.
telling lies.
Yeah, you know the ones that's like let it grow, see what happens. Man.
Yeah,
I don't-
I mean, and maybe men have sort of. They had to invent a new word for it, manscaping. To
Yeah,
try and,
do you know
like, ease
why?
it in.
Do you know what well, my mate says, I was surprised. I don't even know how it came up, but he's like, yeah, I think we were sharing a place and he had a razor. And I'm like, but you don't even know, how do you shave? Your
Yeah.
face is a mess.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the size of your beard. And he's like, I know, I shave my bits because it makes it look bigger. I'm like, mate, if that's what you're going to do to make it look bigger, write a letter to your wife like
Yeah,
James Joyce
yeah.
used to, or just give up.
But it's also never been a thing of like lads shaving their face and people turning around and being like, your head is fucking huge.
Yeah, it's usually the other way around.
Well, it is because people like grow beards to hide their jawlines. Like I can't see maybe
Yeah.
Or
he's
lack
fat,
of
or
a
maybe,
jawline in my
Yeah,
case.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
usually- It's
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
lack of a jawline. Or
Yeah, I mean,
laziness.
most people with square jaws just keep that shaved, looking good.
Mm.
But I've seen one drawing of Alexander Pierce. You know, he's a handsome enough man.
One draw. That's all. No photos. Just a drawing of him.
Oh, it's like the.
When was he born in Clones?
He was born.
Is that the fifth
in
word?
1790
Ooh.
in Clones, County
There
Monaghan.
was cameras around then, weren't they? The old, the
no.
old eye hole cameras.
The old eye hole, yeah, but I guess they weren't. They were saved for big fancy people, not people like him.
Oh yeah, big families that don't smile.
Yeah.
On steps.
Which
of
is such.
mansions.
Sometimes you see photos of people getting their family photo taken and they're beaming because I guess it wasn't taken for granted that you had to look miserable in a photo. I guess
Yeah.
that was invented at some point.
Well, no, it's because people didn't want to smile because they hadn't invented dentists yet.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
no
But-
one wanted
Oh
to
yeah,
be like,
no, it's because there was a dairy blight, and when they said cheese, They all got depressed.
They were all just had a,
They're like, oh, I love cheese.
that's
You know,
probably what it was.
where's the
Yeah.
Stilton? But I think it was because a photo took hours to capture.
Oh, probably.
Maybe not that
yeah.
long, but I mean, so they couldn't
He couldn't be smiling the whole time.
have a real smile for that
Yeah.
long. That's what I heard, but like I was bummed out about that. I just thought it was because they just hated getting the photo. Like, yeah, imagine that. There's a new invention. We can capture your image forever. It's not a painting. It captures the real image of you forever. And they're just like, oh, this newfangled technology. Back in my day, we had to slide in the nip and sketch away.
Yeah,
Well, it's
I'll
like-
go, but I won't be happy about it. It costs $70,000.
That would have been the iPhone 13 of its time.
Sure.
Well, it's like anytime we do levels before we do a podcast, you're like, I just speak how you'd normally speak. That's the equivalent of someone being like, smile for the photo, and then an hour goes by. They're like, most people don't, once a podcast starts, talk like how they usually talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either get
True,
way
yeah.
more animated or else become very quiet all of a sudden
you
because the
can't do it
microphones
all.
are recording.
Yeah, you can't do it non-stop.
Well, unfortunately, no one bothered to take a photo of this man, but there's very little evidence that he was actually born in Clonus. I think that
For God's
Bullshit.
sake, why even
Yeah.
bring it up? Why even bring it up?
I think they acclaim him now. There's not much known about him. He's born in Monaghan. He was poor. He worked as a farm labourer, and he was a Roman
Who
Catholic.
wasn't poor in 1710 apart from the 10 families?
And a Roman
Yeah.
Catholic.
And a Roman Catholic. That's basically
Same thing.
everybody from
Yeah,
Monaghan.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He worked in a field. He didn't really have much going on for him.
To be honest, like a lot of like billionaires these days, especially in 1710 or whatever, if they're going, oh yeah, they were a wealthy family,
Yeah.
it's never going to be wealth from a good place.
No.
No, they worked really hard and saved up all the money for generations and generations, and then also they were slave traders for about 65 years.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they were
they
a slave
also-
trade got you the money.
invented the yo-yo.
They invented the rubber band, and that's what made the millions.
I
They're the
would have been
stories
on
you
board
like.
for Velcro, but you lost me there
Yeah.
at Yo-Yo.
The only people who have the time to sit around inventing Velcro are people who are already rich.
Rich people.
Who made their money off diamonds or slavery.
Yeah.
This man had to go out and work in a field. He had no time for
Yeah.
fancy notions.
You can't dick about with the invention.
Your only
Nah.
complaint is it takes too long to actually fasten my shoes. Well, we don't have shoes. Yeah,
Yeah.
but mine takes so long to
Yeah.
actually tie.
Well, speaking of shoes, this is how he set himself apart. The year's 1819. He's 29 years old. He's coming
Good
up
age.
to his 30th. He's thinking, what have I done with my life? It's time to make a difference in the world. And he commits the grand crime of stealing 6 pairs of shoes, which is
Why is that?
12 total.
Why 6?
One for every day of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then on
around,
Sunday you
yeah.
rest. I don't know. It's probably a rush after a while. He got away with the first one.
On Sunday, you go to mass shoeless just to fit in with the locals.
Yeah, and most of them are now barefoot because you've robbed all those shoes.
And when you think about it, like say there's not much stuff back then. There's
No.
not much stuff, but to steal shoes would be man. If you had good shoes back then,
yeah,
And you
that's
also,
the bee's,
in a,
that's the bee's knees. That's the bee's feet.
in a small
Well-
town, you'd also notice someone wearing your shoes.
Yeah.
If only 10 people in the town had shoes.
but
Yeah.
there's also not 12 styles of shoes. If you steal one, you've stole them all, really.
Yeah, that's the Nike Air Max, and that's it.
Yeah, you're not getting like sandals, high heels, boots for the weekend. It's,
Yeah.
I'd say he was just in it for the thrill of the game. But he gets caught and he gets sentenced in County Armagh. He gets sentenced, and his punishment is deportation and penal servitude in Australia for 7 years. You
And then,
imagine-
what, and then what? They bring him back?
I think you got the option of coming back, but after 7 years, they're like, do you want to stay in A, Australia, or B, back to shoeless Monaghan, where
Shoeless
everyone
Monaghan.
hates you because you stole their fucking stuff
In a field.
in a field?
Stay
Remember
here
the
in the
fields?
sun or take 6 months of a gamble whether you make it back to Ireland or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if that existed now, where like you could get a 7-year free trip, no visa required, a nice cushy job in the labour market when you get over there? There wouldn't be a shoe left in Ireland. Every man in Monaghan would be out
You
fleecing
say
the
that I
place.
turned down an illegal visa in America.
There's a completely different continent and
Yeah, but
visa
still, I came
situation.
home. There's
You
something
came
about
home?
the draw of Ireland that brings you back.
Yeah,
I could have stayed longer illegally, but decided, fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, you need to get a red X next to your name. You can go back whenever you want.
No, but I'd get a redneck missus.
That's-
I can also go back whenever I want.
There you go.
Have they ever get back to you about that visa? Do they still think you're there?
They still think I'm there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like April last year.
So when you try and get back in, they'll be like, I thought you were already in.
So I'm not allowed to apply for another visa until they reject me from the last one, which I haven't had now for 6 months. I've been home for 6 months.
But because you've
Not
already got
really-
you can just walk up with like the stamp in your hand and be like, I just went out
Yeah,
for
it
a
was
smoke.
actually, I just went out to grab one of my friends.
Yeah.
I'm just
He got rejected, but I'm already inside. Well, so he's heading off to the penal
One of
colonies.
6 pairs of shoes. A lot of people were sent to Australia for stealing like one handkerchief.
Yeah, it
That was
really.
another- that shows decadence if you had a handkerchief.
Oh, that's
'Cause
true.
Farmers are just like do the bushman's hanky, probably
Yeah.
cover one nostril with a finger, blow it out. Rich people had a handkerchief, might have their initials
Sure, yeah.
cross-stitched on there or whatever, and they'd be sticking out of their pockets. So a lot of the time they wanted to get caught. So exactly what you're saying. Imagine people here, if you steal something, you get sent to Australia. So they're going up, handkerchief is sticking out the top pocket of some rich dude. They walk up in front of their face, whip it out their pocket and go, stole your handkerchief, arrest this man. And then, thank you.
You can do 2 months in a penal colony and then live in Australia.
Yeah.
Then they'll turn around and just be like, hang him on sight. No, what about the magical place?
That's why it was called a handkerchief.
Yay!
There you go.
Yes.
Well, it's probably the same thing. I mean, handkerchiefs? Who else had shoes? Rich people. The
people.
average man in Monaghan did not have
Wandering around
shoes.
with their shoes on.
Was so, like the Dutch, they'd been sailing around Australia since like the 1600s. But
they didn't claim it because they knew it was wrong.
They knew it was wrong.
That's why I like the Dutch.
They just looked at it and they didn't touch and they went back home. Unlike Captain James Cook, who went down
son of a bitch.
and stole New South Wales for England in 1770. Which, so they only started colonizing it in the 1780s after they lost America in the American War of Independence.
Australia's sort of like the second chance draw.
Yeah, they were like, let's
called
do it
Australia
right this time.
They should have called it America too.
Yeah.
I think Canada holds that name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
It's like when you meet someone's gone through a bad breakup and you see them a couple of months later with a girlfriend who looks exactly like their ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
This is, come on.
Like hugging Australia, Captain was hugging Australia, going to see it. It's just as wide as you.
Bringing Australia to all the Olympics and stuff and being like, oh shit, America didn't see her and we were much cooler.
But guess what? It's hotter across the board. So what do you think of that? And there's more holes in the ground with gold in it.
Yeah, and they gave up all their guns. Like you said, you never could.
Yeah. They're confident in themselves and their fighting abilities. They don't need weapons.
Yeah. So that's like 1783. The first convicts get sent out in like 1788.
I remember it well.
1810, they're being sent out as like labor forces. So like when he gets sent out in 1819, it's new enough, I guess. It's only been around for like 10 years. The concept of being sent out.
Brand spanking new white country.
He's
what are you talking about? It's been around for hundreds of thousands of years with these people. They're not white. It's brand new. Let's claim it.
Oh, it's actually just a meter wide of trees. They haven't actually gone inland at this stage. It's basically just the code.
Listen, I love that. Like any colonization, they stick a flag in there. This is our place now, and the place they do it to, they're like, flags aren't even a thing for us.
I know.
You can't just invent your new rules.
It's
You know when you're playing street sport, football, street whatever with it, and then that one kid always invented their own rules and just drive everyone mad.
Yeah.
That was always my problem in the States with playing pool.
Why?
Because they've got their own fucking rules where like shots don't carry, where it's like you fuck up and the other person doesn't get 2 shots, and you're like, no, you did not hit a fucking ball. Come on, like you get punished now.
Yes. Everyone kind of has their own rules for pool, though. There's no real structure to it.
Yeah, they make it up as they go along.
They make it up. I make it up as I go along, depending on how badly.
The biggest, loudest, angriest man usually makes the rules in my.
It's the same when it comes to colonization. That's usually how it goes.
Yeah, pretty much. Who's got the most fancy weapons?
Yeah. When I was in Australia, I was like driving around all the historic monuments and stuff. It's usually just like 3 meters inland, and it's a stump of a tree. And they're like, that was old Queen Victoria's tree, where we first went for a piss against 200 years ago and claimed this land. But so it's only
we really try to distract from. No one likes that kind of. Every country's got bad sort of history. That's the bad side. So we try and distract it with other giant, colourful, bright monuments. Oh, we got a big banana. Look at the giant mango. There's a big rocking horse.
Yeah.
There's a giant teapot. Look at this big spud over here.
I did look. That was my favorite thing about driving through. Yeah, every town had its own thing. It was like, this is the world's biggest guitar.
Yeah, they love that.
So they love
big things.
Everyone needed a gimmick, and it's usually the world's biggest thing.
I've been to a good few of those big things.
Yeah.
Big pineapple. I got a photo in front of all the big koala. There's loads of just big things, and I've got photos of.
I've seen the same around like the back arse of America of like the where's Superman from? What's his town?
Smallville.
Kansas. It was in. The Smallville.
You're right. It is close to Kansas because that's where
Smallville, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's just the TV. Is there another Metropolis?
Metropolis.
Yeah.
That's not a real
He's
city.
not.
I know it's not, but then someplace in fucking Kansas.
Oh, come on, no. Oh, they've built skyscrapers, the Daily Planet.
They've got a giant Superman that you can find me grabbing the crotch of in a photo somewhere. They've got like a Superman museum that's
man
just
of
2
steel
aisles.
balls.
Yeah.
You're grabbing his steel balls.
But like, if you could be like the world's biggest pizza town,
Yeah.
you'd do it. It just cost like
Oh, if you made the world's biggest pizza.
and then you just make a leaning tower,
Yeah.
and then people are like, well, that's what it'll be known for
That's
now
what-
instead. Yeah.
Well, that's funny.
I-
Vegas. I think people would have gone to Vegas even if they didn't have a pyramid and a bloody.
And the gambling and... Yeah.
no, the gambling
that was
brings
the
it
main
That's probably
way,
what
yeah,
brings
yeah.
them in, maybe. Irish towns don't really go for that. They just, like, slowly die with dignity. They don't...
I know,
like,
no.
well,
stupid
there's no
one.
reason to
Apart
stop
from-
here.
Apart from Montreal's Barack Obama,
Yes.
all
Yeah,
the
they-
way- that's the
yeah.
only one. Do you notice that Trump also visited Ireland,
David
but
Kerry,
no one
yeah.
likes him. So there's nothing
What the-
that I
We were
know
at the
of.
Obama Plaza. Was that last night?
Yeah, it was last... Or Saturday night on the way back from Limerick. Twice.
The Alabama. I won there, one back.
Yeah.
It's
I
a good
wouldn't-
plaza.
I got
It's
a
a great
photo.
plaza.
He's look. If you're
Well-
gonna have your name on a plaza, it's a bloody
It's one
good
of the
plaza.
better
Yeah.
ones. Have you ever done the museum upstairs?
There's a museum.
Quality museum.
What are
Yeah.
you talking about?
Wait,
It's-
above
It's
the
a service
Texaco.
station.
Yeah, I brought you there.
Yeah, but so above that
Yeah,
petrol
yeah,
station
it's up-
is a museum.
Yeah,
What's
it's a
the museum? The old petrol pumps that used to be there.
It's like all about how we basically run America and how all the different ancestors. Remember when Obama came over here and he drank that pint of Guinness in his local
Oh man,
descendants
best thing you
town?
can do in Ireland.
They've got they've got.
pint glass.
It's definitely not the pint glass.
You
but
don't
they
know that.
imply it because there's a photo of him drinking and then right beside it's a glass.
It's a pint glass.
It's a pint glass.
They just robbed that from anywhere.
Oh, 100%. Every bar in Moneygall claims to have that pint glass, I'd imagine.
Yeah. it's a
Yeah,
pint.
where in reality we all know he snuck it out in Michelle's handbag.
Yeah, man.
Because he's one of us.
Yeah.
He was halfway
he's
down
real-
the street with a pint in his
He's
hand.
like, and now the next pub, we need to get a Budweiser and
Yeah,
a Heineken
yeah.
and a Bulmers.
We're getting the whole set.
And on the way
Listen,
back,
look-
we need to get a local TD's election poster.
yeah, a traffic cone.
Yeah, this almost broke into an Obama impersonation. Michelle, this pint glass would. That's not it. That's not it.
Bill or fuck. Damn it. Anyway,
We'll get it.
We'll circle back to that. We've all thinking about
I used to
this.
do it.
Three
I used
white
to-
men trying to do a
I used
black
to
man's
do-
accent.
I used to do an Obama accent, obviously when he was bloody president. 'cause it
Yeah.
was more topical. But
And, Michelle,
that's it.
I never had a petrol station. Fuck it.
That was close.
That was close.
You had the pauses correct.
Yeah. If only you could do any accents.
But we love Obama.
You know who couldn't also do accents? That was a bad segue. Pierce, probably.
He might have done a good Obama.
He might have done a good Obama. This doesn't make any sense now. Give it 200 years, it'll fucking kill on podcasts.
Why do
They were trying to send... They were sick of sending everyone down to New South Wales. People in New South Wales.
That's when it was new, by the way.
That's when it was new.
It's still called New South Wales,
Yeah.
but it's old now.
and
It's old news. It's
looks-
old news, South
New
Wales.
South Wales.
It looks nothing like Wales, north or south.
No, look, nothing
Not
like
a tap.
Wales.
But so they were sick of sending people to New South Wales because New South Wales people, they were like, we want to start a proper colony or whatever. So they moved everyone down to Tasmania. Well, what part of Australia are you from, Damo?
The other side.
Oh, you're from
Perth.
Perth, the
Free
west
A.
side.
The other part.
Yeah.
Where Bon
Apparently
Scott grew up.
the nicer part.
Ah.
The nicer?
Yeah, I've heard it's like the nicer
Some
coast.
of it.
Yeah.
I guess because it's so far away from everything, people can just say whatever they want
That's
and they'll
it.
believe it. They're going to answer
Yeah.
shit on. People go, yeah. Well,
Even
some of it
Melbourne,
is.
Sydney.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, well, some of it is.
Actually, yeah, you've got like the opposite of the East Coast, West Coast, like LA, New York rap. Because everywhere in Australia is like, nah, the other side's better, man. This place is shit.
Yeah.
Depends
what you want.
Whereas the Americans are always fronting about like, fuck the East Coast, we're the best. I
Yeah.
find Australians like, people in Melbourne were like, nah, Sydney's way better. Melbourne's shit.
Yeah.
And then they'd say the
But
opposite.
Perth is good, man. Like when I was growing up, they make fun of themselves. Like WA
Yeah.
for West Australia. WA. The joke there is WA stands for wait a while. WA, mate. Because not only do you have to wait
yeah.
forever to get anything that anywhere else has,
Mm.
but like you just learn to be patient.
Yeah.
And then like everything was like a town mentality. When I was growing up, especially town mentality, but
Sure.
city. Similar to Dublin in a way, it's
It's just a big
Dublin is a
town.
city, but it is a big town.
Yeah, yeah.
But although if you go to Waterford and say it's a town, they go nuts. It's a city. You're like, look, Waterford. I've been to London. I've been to New York. I've been to Hong Kong. Been to Singapore. Been to Shanghai. Yes, it's probably technically a city, but come on, they even call New York a town.
If you start listening to
Mark
those
a
things,
town.
if you
I'm just saying, Waterford, just don't get hung up on it. It doesn't matter what they call you. You're a great place. You're the first founded city, technically an island, aren't you? Wear that around your neck. You don't have to be a city to be
Yeah.
good.
All
You've
of-
got an inferiority complex, and that's someone coming from Perth to say that.
But it's all of those cities. I would say call them towns only again. I don't have to get offended. But like, yeah, Limerick, Waterford, Kilkenny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
from Carlow. Kilkenny's not a city.
But if you
That's
stop
like-
calling them a city, they lose all the
Yeah, but they'll be
grants.
like, hey, we've
They
got a
lose the grant
cathedral.
money.
We've got a cathedral. You're like, yeah, look, there's cathedrals in the middle of nowhere some places.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, man.
And they should be cities too, just like Dundalk.
Yeah.
But
Dundalk is a city. But like just saying that, so
It is
Perth
not.
has probably got similar population to Dublin as well. Like 1.1,
Yeah,
1.2 million, something like that. But it's a very suburban sprawl.
Yeah.
Dublin's a bit more condensed. But looking at the whole Australian thing, even though, there's the accent thing where if you're from Hobart but you move to Perth, your accents are bloody same anyway. I can't tell the difference.
Oh, do you reckon? Yeah.
Probably. I mean, there's different accents within. Like, there's the posher side. I've got a probably suburban accent, nearly bogan. Like my mates.
I was
going to
say, what's it called? Hobart.
Hobart.
You'd say
Tasmania.
Hobart. That's where. Sorry, just getting back to. So I visited Hobart and I visited Port Arthur. Is that where he went? Is that where Pierce?
He ends up in Hobart for a bit and then moves over the other side. But yeah, because when I was over there, I couldn't tell the difference between any of the accents, and I assumed it was just because I'm massively racist. But
no, it's so some reason someone decided what the accent was going to be,
and that was just
that's it. And there's variations, but it's basically like when I moved to Melbourne, like no one went, oh, even
all right, country boy.
Yeah, like someone said that once, but that was just because of my intelligence, not from. I remember some girl. One of my first jobs there. It actually was my first job in Melbourne. I was washing dishes because, and I still have the same skill set from now than I did back then. It's actually I'm probably worse at it now. She goes, "Did you grow up in the country?" Like, it's just because I wasn't very bright,
right?
But she didn't mean, "Oh, you're from another city." She just meant, "Oh, this guy's from a farm or something." Much like Alexander Pierce. She said that next. I didn't realize the relevance of that until today.
This is revealing about how I felt about Melbourne. But when you said they knew you were from the country because of your intelligence, I genuinely thought it's because you were too smart.
That could be. It probably was that.
Look at this big brain fella.
He's very wise. This dude.
He's got that sort of country wisdom.
You buttoned that shirt yourself?
Yeah,
that's me.
So our country boy has been sent out to what was called at the time Van Diemen's Land, but is now Tasmania.
I love that name.
It's named after Anthony Van Diemen, which is the greatest name. That's the sort of name a 14-year-old will come up with for like a comic book character.
Yes,
Anthony Van Diemen. He was some Dutch guy who he didn't see it first. He funded the expedition to go out to it. But then eventually, I think they changed it in 1860s. They rename it to Tasmania after
the devil. I'll cut you off right there.
The devil.
The devil.
Well, that's genuinely because they changed it after like 50 years because they're like, yeah, Van Diemen's Land. His name's Demon. No one wants to move here. It's like neighborhoods in Dublin when they change. You used to go to college in Ballymun, and at some point it became Glasnevin.
Yeah,
you don't live in Ringsend, you live in Irish Town.
You don't live in Dublin, you live in Cork.
Yeah, you live in Dunleary. But so he's deported from Ireland in October 1819 on board the Castle Forbes for life rehabilitation. But Pierce, he's a bad egg. He gets into the penal colony. He's still up to no good.
Stealing shoes.
He goes higher. He goes into Tasmania in March of 1820, and over the next few months, he runs away from the colony twice. He gets flogged 4 different times.
Oh, flogged.
Once he gets 50 lashes for embezzling 2 turkeys and 3 ducks.
Oh, man, that's a lot of lashes.
There's a lot of turkeys and ducks.
I don't know how you embezzle a turkey.
I don't know. I thought that was a great choice of words as well.
Did the turkey's taxes wrong or something? How do you embezzle money laundering with a turkey?
It just sounds very like white-collar crimey. He was in charge of writing down the turkeys, and they'd be like, how many turkeys is that? 4? And he'd just write down 2 and then run away. It took them years to catch up.
One under each arm. I think that's 2.
Yeah.
He was fluting with the abacuses at the end of every night.
I wonder how many lashes you'd have to go before you regretted embezzling anything.
Well, he went another.
For me, it's 1.
Yeah, 1. You're like, I'm done.
I shouldn't have done that.
Well,
50. Imagine to even try and do 50 push-ups. It's too hard. Imagine 50. After 10 lashes, you'd be like, man, like I've got no skin left on my back.
But then just like push-ups, you do the first 50. The next
you don't
50,
do any more.
Not so bad. Because straight away he went right back at it. Gets another 50 for being drunk and disorderly.
All right.
And then another 50 and 6 months working in change for stealing a wheelbarrow.
Oh,
so it's not as if he's even
activity.
Well, I was going to say the 50 drunken ones probably didn't even hurt.
No,
he couldn't even feel it.
Yeah.
He had his drunk coat on.
Well, these are all like separate incidents over the space of a year, but he clearly never learned his lesson. It's not as even if his crimes are getting bigger. He stole a wheelbarrow.
Now that you mention it, all his crimes are very alcohol induced.
Yes. Yeah.
Like embezzling turkeys. He's not sober. This is what I'm saying.
I don't think
so. He's not sober
so.
for any of this. Stealing a wheelbarrow. No sober person wants to steal a wheelbarrow. Drunk person.
They'd find their way to write it off as a tax expense instead of literally just bring it.
And just remember, there was no shopping trolleys back then. A wheelbarrow is the shopping trolley of the day.
That's
which
exactly
we've
what
all
it was.
stolen when drunk.
Because he was definitely, when he was caught, it was him being pushed down the street in the wheelbarrow.
Unless that was his idea to be like, I'll bring this, and if anyone stops me on the way, they're like, what are you trying to steal? Nothing. And he leaves 10 miles down the road, like, he was stealing
It was the
wheelbarrow.
wheelbarrow.
It
Oh,
was
that's
empty.
Yeah.
good.
But
I'm
I
gonna
do-
fill it full of turkeys and embezzle
I
them.
love the idea of like, because in this period of history, you may as well be going to Mars now. Like, it's a completely different side of the fucking world. He's seeing kangaroos. He's seeing sunshine, stuff that no Monaghan man had ever seen before.
Yeah.
He's
And he
seen
lands
gainful
there.
employment.
And he's still like, yeah, he's got a job. Like, he's working as a laborer, but whatever. And he's still like, I'm going to steal a fucking wheelbarrow. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I'm going right back.
Yeah, I don't get like what's the worst. I can't be sent any further away from where I'm from.
Well, it turns out you actually can.
So
in,
yes, Van Diemen's Land.
Well, he escapes from Van Diemen's Land for real in March of 1822. He goes on the run after it's discovered. He forged a work order, which, as far as I can see, was like basically like a community service thing. So I'd say he just forged it to say that he'd done it, or else he forged his community service to be like, I need to be in charge of giving the governor's wife foot massages. And then after 3 months, they copped onto it. But he was gone. He ran away. And on the 18th of May, 1822, the Hobart Town Gazette and Van Diemen's Land Advertiser, a great publication,
yeah.
it reported his escape and offered £10 for his capture. In 1901, £10 is worth about $1,600 today.
I would have been rich back then.
Yeah. Where can I get that conversion rate?
16 grand, you say?
Sorry, no, it's 1,600, yeah.
That's still.
It's
Still,
you know,
yeah, like I'm just as shocked at either. I
Yeah.
don't have 100 quid in my account. So 16 anything sounds good to me.
just for turning in some guy who'd run away. So with a bounty that high on him, eventually he gets caught and he's charged with absconding and forging the work order. So this time the lads in Hobart, they're sick of him. This is what you were saying, Damo. You think, what's the worst that can happen? I'm already in the penal colony.
Guess what? Perth.
They send him to the penal colony within the penal colony.
Oh,
And he gets transferred to Sarah Island in Macquarie Harbour?
Macquarie Harbour.
Macquarie Harbour? Macquarie
How do you
Harbour?
spell it?
Maquarie. It's named
Oh,
after a Scottish guy,
Harbour, I think,
Macquarie. Yeah.
Macquarie, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Luckily, I haven't been there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a very nice place. So, yeah, Tasmania is an island on the south of Australia. Hobart is kind of over to the east. And
East, southeast,
Yeah.
like what? It's on the bottom, anyways.
and then Macquarie is like over in the very west in a harbour. So it's a tiny
Right.
island on a harbour on an island in Australia.
Sounds like our Alcatraz or something.
Exactly. It's
To
their
the
Alcatraz.
or Ackle.
So, well, according
Escape the rock.
according to the Age newspaper, it was described as the most remote penal hellhole in the whole British Empire.
Wow, I got reviewed by the Age once. So,
Being a Damo,
they said I'd rather gouge out my eyes with hot spoons than to sit through this shit again. What
like
year
they've
was
never
that published? Just one bad reviewer.
was
That
the
poor
same.
island. I'm on the island side. It's not as bad as
It's
that the
actually
Age said.
fine.
I had a really good show that night.
Tried to.
You're on the resort side of the island.
Yeah.
I tried to find reviews of the island, and they're mostly positive because of the tourists and stuff around it now. The only negative review said, "This is a poo-poo island."
Poo-poo.
It could have been the Age again. I don't know.
Watching their tongue for the kiddies.
Maybe for all the children who are
probably
reading the
the kids
reviews of
section.
this. Yeah, it probably is a child.
Poo-poo. I don't want to go there.
This island was poo-poo. I was forced to do slave labor for 17 years.
That is poo-poo, all right.
It was, but the island was considered escape-proof. It was like Alcatraz. It's out in the harbour, hundreds of miles away from the settled areas of Tasmania, so it's way out there. The convict's job was just to chop down hew and pine.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a
Think about the
tree.
environment, lads.
It's a tree that lives 3,000 years, and they were, I imagine, just chopping it down to make wheelbarrows
Oh, man.
I
That's
had
horrible.
To steal.
to steal. But Pierce was only on Sarah Island for 6 weeks. On the 20th
That's
of
nothing,
September, 1822, Pierce was working on the eastern side of the harbour with 7 other convicts: Alexander Dalton, Thomas Bodenham, William Kinnearly, Matthew Travers, Edward Brown, Robert Greenhill, and John Maher.
Some Irish names in
All
there.
the lads.
The lad.
Say they decided they were sick of cutting up trees and they come up with a brilliant escape plan.
Make a raft.
No, they're just going to steal the boat.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
There's already a boat there to steal.
There's already a boat, steal the boat, sail to China. I set up a whole new life over there.
How many steps were in between that?
Well, not enough, because they overpowered the guards and then ran to the boat and realized that it was too heavily guarded, so they couldn't
Oh.
get on it. But they'd already knocked out the guard, so you're already in for a penny, you know.
Yeah.
So they just ran into the forest. Plan B.
Ah.
So they were living. They're still on the island.
Oh,
They're-
yeah.
They're like, now they're
So-
forest people.
So Sarah Island is like an island on an island in a bay, and they got over
Good
to the
heavens.
coast. They got over to the coast to do some tree chopping, and they're like, let's fucking do it.
Build their own raft.
Knocked out the guards, fucked up getting the boat, and then just ran into like what even now I've understand is like extremely rugged terrain, like very difficult.
Whoa.
And back then there was like nothing. Like
I imagine because they're so good at chopping down trees, they made Return of the Jedi where the Ewoks live,
yes,
and then over the next few years they built that with time only.
that's one guess. Is not what happened, but I like your optimism.
It's a
for where this is
shame.
gonna
Is
go.
one of these your man? There was a lad who like years ago ended up on Fiji.
Oh,
And
wow.
like
That's a long
like
way.
100 and whatever years ago, and there was like we never found like 4 lines of this in all of the internet.
Yeah.
So it's probably fake. But I did read a thing once that said there was an Irishman found in Fiji like 150 years ago, and he was the only white man on the island, and he was like covered in tattoos by that stage, and he had 82 children,
Oh,
and his only aim in life was to hit 100.
yeah.
And then that boat just left him there. He's like, I'm not going with
I'm
you.
not going
This
on."
is like paradise.
82 kids.
Yeah.
It's great going.
How many?
Well, he was a god, I
how
guess, there.
many,
Yeah.
How many mums?
One.
Oh, I would say at least 82.
Yeah, that's what I was
yeah,
thinking.
you
Don't
got to
make that
rotate
mistake
around.
twice.
No.
Yeah, I like to imagine he was
You
still
have 2 kids with a girl, all of a sudden they get attached to you. You don't want that.
even after 82 years. He's probably still sitting on the beach with his like Carlo jersey on and just a big white pale head in him, still getting sunburnt every summer.
Yeah, that's take Catholicism to a whole new
Yes,
height, isn't it? 82 kids, man.
that's yeah.
I'm going to go spread the good word of
Me.
Me.
I'm God now.
You are from my testes. How many can I? That's like a spider, you know, like.
Yes.
Yeah, either like monkeys, where humans like monkeys, you know, have 1 or 2 kids. Probably like, you know, years ago it would have been a lot more. Sometimes, and you take good care of the 1 to 10 children that you have.
Sure.
Or have 82 kids and they blow away in the breeze, and you hope that a couple
Yeah,
of them make it.
It's a
something out of
numbers
themselves.
game at that
The
point.
Carlo
Yeah.
theory of childbirth.
Yeah, but
You couldn't remember all their names. No,
oh,
way.
not a hope. Yeah, but I mean, they all just refer to you as like God King, so it doesn't really.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so all the lads, those 7 lads, well 8 including our boy, they all escape, and one of them, Robert Greenhill, had an axe, so naturally he becomes leader of the gang, and he's supported by his friend Matthew Travers because the 2 of them have been arrested together. They're trying to steal a boat from a man called Anthony Van Kemp, who was a Van Diemen businessman, and he had a massive role in Australia's first and only, to date, mutiny, or sorry,
Mutiny.
like coup d'état, the Rum Rebellion.
I've
Did you ever
heard of
hear
it.
this?
Yes, I have heard of the
Yeah.
Rum Rebellion.
I didn't write too much about this, but basically it was like prison rules. So when they started off New South Wales, London didn't send enough money out there for there to be an economy that ran properly. So just like cigarettes in prison, they started running the economy off rum. And the fucking government came in and said, stop running your economy off rum. They sent in a man called William Bligh in 1806.
And they all said, shut up, I don't care. You
They didn't like it. They had a revolution. 400 men showed up at his house and they put him in prison on a boat for 2 years.
Great.
Yeah.
Like it's a difficult one to keep track of. It's like, you said you gave me 4 of I gave you 6.
You think about lads after 3 points kind of remember how to do rounds and an entire economy run off rum for like 8 years.
Yeah, it is. That's the whole. And the funny thing is, the stereotype of Australians that I mean, this isn't me because I've been living here too long, but it's usually like when it's the Aussies, it's pretty much insert tight ass stereotype here.
Oh,
when
sure.
when it's you're around, you disappear.
Okay.
You know, but if that
we
stereotype
call
was
an
true
Irish
back
goodbye.
then,
Yeah.
the Irish goodbye, our one is like pretty much the same. What are you guys getting? And then the Aussie leaves.
Sure.
But I mean, all the Aussie guys that I know actually don't do that. But then we're probably the ones that might not make the stereotype. These guys probably were, and
Yeah.
if that's the case, the economy would have crumbled because if they were Aussies, they were one of the first rounds of Aussies.
Yeah, they were. Well, that's because at this stage, there's British men, as
Yeah,
we all know.
they probably still had the accent.
They probably
They
still
probably
had the
haven't
accent.
got this nasal twang yet.
Yeah, the one guy hadn't come down and decided what the pan-Australian accent was going to be.
Mm.
But, well, so Greenhill...
Until these lads.
Yeah,
going,
they
"Oh,
probably...
fuck off, mate.
That's... Yeah, 'cause I was thinking that the
That's
whole
where
way...
that's where the Australian accent came from.
Yeah.
Drunken Englishman.
Yeah.
Lads probably couldn't understand what the hell these boys were saying. But well, so Greenhill, he had an axe, but as well as that, he was also a sailor, so he could navigate by the sun and the stars. So he's like an all-round natural leader for this gang of miscreants. And about 8 days into the journey, the lads start, the hunger gets on them, and they decided there's only one thing for it: cannibalism. So
Bingo. I'm hungry.
they all
We've
decided.
got 7 lads to choose from here.
Well, apparently they all. they all decided pretty quickly to eat Alexander Dalton first because back on the prison, he had the best fashion sense, so they figured he'd taste the best.
Yeah.
Well, back in the prison island, he'd volunteered to be a flogger, which you can't be at that.
You can't be flogging
No.
people, mate.
No.
You're getting eaten.
So
You're getting ate.
You're getting it first, so they went straight on him. They didn't even feel that bad about it. Greenhill decapitates him, and they get to work.
So, how much information is there about that? Do they chop his head off in his sleep, or do they hold him down and be like, "You'll go on, mate"?
I think you know what? All the information about this comes from Pierce, so
Right.
it's hard to know how reliable it is. But there's been 3 films about this story, and we can just make up our own story now. I'd say they hold him down, chop him off.
I
was thinking he was probably alive when they did it. It's fresh.
I would imagine, because you don't want to spoil
Like
the
a
meat.
chicken.
Yeah.
Kill a chicken. Obviously, you kill him when it's live. But in my head is the cartoon version where they look at him and they're licking his lips and he turns into like a giant chicken wing
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
They were the
and then
Looney Tunes,
he's looking around going, guys, and they all have bibs on. They're all tied
And
napkins around,
giant
holding
knives
a
and
knife
forks.
and forks.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
where'd you get those knives and forks, guys? One dude's sharpening one. There's a big black cauldron over a fire they've started.
Yeah.
Cuts back, and all of a sudden, this time it's just the chicken's bottom with the St. George's cross of a head. Now it's justified.
Well, it's all well and good here with the distance of time. If it seems funny now, back then they just murdered a man and ate him.
Oh yeah, no, it's horrendous.
Oh no, it is pretty funny. But for some
Oh, yeah, it's so
reason,
funny.
it does scare some of the lads. So the next day they wake up, they're full of regret. Keneally and Brown, they take off back to Sarah Island. They figure,
It must have been full though.
well, this is something I didn't know that I learned when I was researching this. Apparently, human flesh not that filling because there's no carbs in it. It's all protein.
Oh god.
Okay.
So
You need a side. You need chips with it.
you need some chips. And these boys are trekking through the outback for days at a time.
Mm.
It's doing nothing for them. But the other 2 lads, they get freaked out. So they ran. They're like,
We're next.
they didn't think there was anything worse than being stuck on that prison island, but apparently getting eaten alive in your
Let
sleep.
me back in.
Slightly back. Yeah, so they run back. They try and get back in. They reach the coast again, but they die of exhaustion soon after.
No way.
Well, maybe no way, because the prison guards might have beat the shit out of them
And killed him.
and killed them, yeah, for
That's
running
true.
away.
That's true.
Either way, they
what's
don't
not?
survive.
So they weren't eaten?
No, and that's spoiled
a
meat
win.
then.
That's a win.
That's a win. They just got
win.
the shit kicked out of
They
them.
just got beaten to death.
So the 5 remaining lads, they are traveling on, but sure enough, they get hungry again.
They're
soon.
hungry.
This time they decide to draw lots for who's going to get killed.
No way.
Yes, this is like the classic.
This is like rock, scissors, paper.
Yeah.
For death.
Thomas Bodenham draws the short straw, decapitated by Greenhill.
Dude.
Yes, the Bodenham sandwich.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Did they wait for everyone else to draw straws, or was like, it's the
Yeah,
straw
the first
one?
guy. Yeah, 'cause I wouldn't. It doesn't seem like the most democratic system because I don't know. They sort of drop in and out because immediately after that. So that now there's only 4 of them left.
Like, it's in that movie Alive, where that plane crashed in the mountains.
Yeah.
Like, one dude was already dead. Was that dude? I think it was. But they were like, oh, they're all crying. Oh, we're going to have to eat him because we're starving to death. They started with the ass cheeks.
Yes.
Yeah, most flesh.
Because
I
it's
guess.
most flat,
Yeah.
and so there definitely would have been the chat who gets what.
Oh yeah,
It's easy with the 5 lads down to 4 because they get a limb each,
sure. Yes.
but they're gonna have to split the cheeks. When it was 7 lads, was it down to
one-
8 down to 7? That would have
yeah.
been tricky to pick what was what.
You don't want one guy to like jump in too soon for the genitals.
I want the ribs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
give me
yeah,
one of
yeah.
them testicles,
Give it a go.
boys.
Oh.
And they're like, oh, you're gonna have both of them, man.
Yeah, and his internal monologue's
He's
like,
like, "Give me the
everyone's going to
penis."
shout for the genitals. I got to say it first so I get in there, and then
One of them says, give me the penis. I want a lot of the blood, so make him aroused before we kill him.
Yeah, she's yeah, that would be great to see. Even when they're eating a man alive, they're still giving the guy shit for like eating penis. They're like, he's
I know. yeah, it doesn't matter how low you get. Well, that's totally gay. Man.
Oh, it's fucking gay.
I want to eat a bit.
What are you eating now? Shut up. That's not as bad.
Should I be eating a cock?
I swear his penis is bigger. It's just it's very cold out here.
yeah. So all right, well so the first round of deaths, they're down to the dream team now. There's Greenhill and Travers, the 2 boat buddies, and then John Maher and our boy Pierce. So Travers and the man with the axe, they're like good friends because steal a boat, that sticks with a man.
Yeah.
So Pierce starts thinking, like, Travers obviously isn't going to be the next to be killed. Greenhill's not going to be the next to be killed. So that just leaves him and Maher. So he does what any normal man would do in this situation.
Throws Maher under the bus.
He does. He gangs up with the other 2 boys so that they can kill Maher and eat him. So now he's out of the picture. They're down to 3.
Well, he knows he's next, so that was a dumb idea. He should have ran off.
Yeah, but you get a little bit of time. So they're all like they're still traversing through the woods and they're trying to make it back.
That's the moment that you start eating that guy. That's what I'd be looking to kill the next two.
Well, exactly. So it's 5 weeks of insane travel at this time. There's 3 of them.
It's 5 weeks.
They're
They've
5
eaten
weeks
3
into
dudes.
it. They've eaten 3 dudes. It's only Pierce and the 2 boat boys left. They're from the old yacht club. He knows the writing's on the wall.
Yeah.
But then, miracle of miracles, it happens.
They fall asleep.
They find a McDonald's.
Travers gets bit by a snake.
Oh,
He's
fuck
out.
yeah.
He's fucking done. Now,
They're sucking the poison out of his leg like,
yeah,
it actually had a bit of spice. I
put
like
a bit
it.
of salt on there.
Yeah.
Now, again, so there's different versions of this story, even from Pierce, but the one I'll go with is that he said Greenhill insists on carrying Travers for 5 days, and the 2 of them drag him along. They do the decent thing, but after 5 days, Travers' foot has gone gangrenous, and Travers insists on being put out of his misery. He begs
You
them to
sort
kill
of
him.
would. You would, wouldn't you?
There's no way they dragged the man with a great, like, if the second he got bit by a snake,
Yeah,
He's
5
gone.
days, maybe
Yeah.
1 day.
maybe an hour.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
the same. Like,
Yeah.
realistically, you'd kill him there, chop the leg off, make sure it doesn't spread around.
Yeah.
You don't want that. You know, 5 days of a snake bite, I'm sure the rest of the whole body is going to be rotted. there.
Exactly.
Right.
At that
This
point,
tastes gross.
I don't know enough
Yeah.
about snake bites. You'd be the man from the area.
Yeah, but I mean, I've never tasted a dude's flesh that's been bitten by a snake.
but I imagine it wouldn't do much good for it.
But I'm guessing it's not great.
No, but also if you're like, you don't want to be like,
Damo, you've done that. Yeah, I have. Actually, no, it was a spider bite, but he still didn't taste good.
Well, we actually carried him for 6 days. is the
Yeah.
thing. But that's everyone who's like, anytime cannibalism ever comes up, it's always like, well, look, that they died naturally, and we tried our best.
That's it,
And then
yeah.
eventually we just had to eat them.
because what's going to happen after like the next time they're going to eat someone, they draw lots again. If one of the other 2 dies, you'd almost feel guilty if you were on the way out and you still made them kill and eat one of the other 2. I think he did the just thing and just let them eat him. But now
He's
there's
gonna be
only
hopping around for the rest of his life.
yeah, exactly. He's already on the way out. There's no fucking medical care about then. But now there's only 2 of them, and Greenhill, he's got the upper hand because he's got the axe.
He's got the axe. He's
But the
boss.
2 of them are starving. They got to sleep someday. So they're sort of. It says it goes on for like another 8 days, and they're wary about sleeping around each other. They're still trying to march through the outback. But after 8 days, Pierce manages to get the slip on Greenham, and he kills him when he falls asleep.
No way, he gets the axe.
He
and
gets
does
the
it.
axe.
Good man
So
himself.
it's just our man. And now he's getting into like less rugged terrain. So he's able to start raiding Aboriginal sites in order to survive. And finally, he gets back to European civilization. When he sees sheep, he knows he's making it back to the occupied
And
territories.
he's like, oh, we could have just been killing sheep the whole time. That's delicious.
Even when it got to the Aboriginal territories, it was like, and that was an option? I
Yeah.
don't know. But
I mean, Aboriginal people can live anywhere in Australia and
Yeah.
find food and the roots and like there's animals, there's insects, there's stuff you can eat.
these guys
Like,
were going straight in for the...
we're like, we don't know any of that. We're just gonna eat each other.
Yeah. Well, so as soon as he gets back to, he knows sheep. He kills the sheep. He starts eating it, which obviously attracts the attention of the shepherds. But luckily enough, the first shepherd who gets down to him is an old friend of his from the penal colonies.
Get out of town.
Yeah. Well,
What are the odds?
well,
He says, well, that-
Irish men will just find each other everywhere when they head over.
I swear that sheep had got bitten by a snake. I carried it for 5 days.
He
It
begged me for
me.
it. Well, it's so...
Like, eat me. It's like, you got it.
His old mate, he sorts him out with a job. He gets him into the lucrative world of illegal sheep rustling. He sets him up immediately.
That sounds like a good, honest day's job.
Well, Pierce had connections back in Monaghan for boys who wanted pure sheep. He was getting them out of the country, sending them back. He had a buyer on the other side.
Get those merinos out of here.
Yeah, but that lasts, I think, for about 3 months. But then the whole ring gets bust. He gets arrested. He gets brought back.
Who bleated? Who ba-
One of them gave it away, and then the rest of them all followed suit.
Hey, yes, those woolly bastards.
So Pierce had been on the run for 113 days, spending about half of that out in the wilderness. But now he's locked up again in Hobart. Pierce made a confession to Reverend Robert Knopwood, who's the official chaplain of Hobart. But for some reason,
in confession,
he
confess, and his name's Knock.
his
Wood.
name's Knopwood.
Oh, it's a shame because that's what you do in confession.
Yeah.
buddy.
Oh, you knock on
the wood.
Well, they call him Knockwood because they were knocking on the wood to get out of the confession
Oh,
box.
that's probably what it is. No,
Ah.
mate.
But he didn't believe the story of cannibalism. He figured that Pierce was covering for the other lads and that they were still out in the outback. Apparently, Hobart's like a famous. He's like a first source for what life was like in Tasmania at the time because he wrote all these diaries, including this guy's confession, which I thought was against the code of the church. I don't know. I guess you can't tell anyone, but he went home and wrote it all down in his diary, and his diary is now public knowledge. But he sends Pierce back to Macquarie Harbour in chains, and he gets welcomed back by the other prisoners like a hero.
Really?
Would you ever see like Cool Hand Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like Luke. He's sent back to the same prison. They're like, yes,
And he's like, he's back.
he's back.
Where are the lads? Delicious. What?
Well, that yes. So
He's like, one of them was a bit gamey.
I don't know. Apparently, the rumors didn't. Well, we'll get into that in a second. But he gets sent back in chains this time because he had escaped the first time. But that gives him like a hero status.
He's the bad boy.
And you can't keep a good Monaghan down. Within a year, Pierce escapes a second time.
Yeah, take that.
This time, he's with a young convict called Thomas Cox. So this is where.
Oh, Cox. He picked the most delicious looking of all the lads.
Well, so Cox is only 17, but at this age, he'd already been sent to Tasmania for life and put on this, like, Macquarie Island.
He's told 2 handkerchiefs and a pair of shoes.
Well, that's it, because a lot of the stuff I was reading, it was like, because he was a bad man. We don't know what he did, but it must have been bad to get sent for life. If you get sent for 7 years for stealing shoes, that's not a high bar to cross. Like, he might have stolen a handkerchief, and now he's already been sent for life.
For life. From 17, not
From
even
17.
not even an adult, really.
No. But apparently Cox convinced Pierce to break him out. So he'd been gathering materials, and he knew from Pierce that it was possible. But it does seem like the story of cannibalism hadn't made it back with him to the island.
Oh, no, you wouldn't escape with a dude
No.
who knew that
It was
if he
the
gets
first-
hungry, he'll kill you and eat
Yeah,
you. So-
yeah. They just knew him as the guy who escaped. So Pierce is holding off. He doesn't want to do it, but then eventually he gets flogged again for stealing a shirt, and he's like, fuck it, Cox, I'm in. So they waited till they were up north on a foraging expedition, and then they made a run for it. Which is because Cox is at him for months to like help him escape. And then eventually he gets his secret plan. It's just, let's wait till we're already outside, and then we'll just run. Which is essentially what the first plan was as well.
Yeah.
But like,
But it worked.
it did work, yeah. And I guess he's the only guy who thought about, let's just fucking leg it when we have a chance.
Yeah.
But this time, Pierce, he knows all the pitfalls. He's learned the way of the outbacks in the first time. He knows how to navigate the terrain, and he gets caught after 11 days.
Oh. What were they eating?
They brought him to the Supreme Court in Hobart, where he was tried for murdering and cannibalizing Thomas Cox.
Oh, he got the
guy.
kid. He ate the 17-year-old.
He ate the kid.
Well, it was there for life.
Which limb first?
The first
Cox.
time,
Is it Cox?
the Cox first, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this time they believed his cannibal story because they found bits of Cox in his pocket, even though he still had other food.
Cox jerky.
He still had like his fucking rations that they'd ran off with, and he'd still killed the kid and eaten them.
So instead of eating the rations first,
Yeah.
he ate Cox first, and then went, "Oh, I got some crackers here."
So he wasn't even captured. He surrenders after 11 days. He lights a fire and gets them to come over. So it seems like he just escaped so he could eat this
And
kid.
he didn't even use that fire to cook up young Cox.
He went raw. He got a taste for the raw meat.
raw dogging young Cox.
So there
Yeah.
was in his diary, did it say? Because I was going to ask about that. Were they cooking all these dudes back when they were killing them?
I don't think so. I think it was just raw.
Raw meat.
Or I think, sorry, I had read actually, initially they were cooking them, and then it was like he started eating them raw.
They got them rare.
It was when you start drinking milky coffees, and then you start, like rare steaks, you start getting closer and closer to the pure source.
Bloody.
They came across a Marco Pierre White cookbook, and they're like, "Do you know what?
Yeah.
Medium is the way forward."
I like my people medium. Reading the back of their shirts. This guy's a medium.
Yeah. Well, so they found the body, and it was pretty, like they went into the description of what the Cox's body looked like. It was pretty bad.
What?
But Pierce,
Nibbled on whatnot.
it
what
was
you mean?
like chopped up, disemboweled. He'd eaten the whole thing.
Guts and all.
But he claimed, so when it came to the time for the court case, he claimed it was manslaughter because it was just an act of rage. He didn't mean to do it, but apparently Cox couldn't swim. So they were on this big escape plan, and they got to a river, and it was then Cox said that he couldn't swim. So obviously Pierce murdered and ate him.
You can't swim. Oh, we have to kill you then.
What use are you to me now?
Well, he's going to die there if he leaves him. He can't bring him with him.
yeah.
He might as well kill and eat
Why
him.
not? So in the court reports, they noted that Pierce didn't look like a cannibal. He was only 5'3", which was under average height even for the time.
Fella.
Mm-hmm.
So-
I like this.
Yeah, you would have been flying.
No
it.
one's ever going to think of a cannibal.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
With the Hobart Town Gazette wrote in June of 1824 that he did not look like a man who was laden with the weight of human blood and believed to have banqueted on human flesh. But I don't know what.
Oh,
What
What would they
wish
think
they-
that looks like?
Wish they reviewed me. They sound nice.
Yeah.
We saw what he was trying to do. He looked like he wanted to give people a good laugh.
I heard the
Like,
review
how
in the
do you
Age. He couldn't be that bad. He doesn't look like someone.
Yeah.
who
He's
couldn't-
guilty. We've got no evidence against him other than he looks like he dines on human flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely it works the other way as well. Then. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, we're like, he looks like a harmless enough sort of fellow. The Chief Justice, John Pedder, presides over the trial. Attorney General Joseph Gellibrand is the prosecutor. There's no record of Pierce having a lawyer or even saying anything other than, like, giving his not guilty verdict. So it's a pretty quick case. He hasn't got anyone defending him. And they sentenced him to be executed and for his body to be handed over to science for medical research.
And eaten.
Yeah, well, that's like the first 5 minutes of a horror story where like a man escapes from Australian penal colony, goes on a cannibalistic rage. They execute him and don't bury his body, but keep his body for science.
Yeah, and then he just
It's
comes
a
alive,
setup
yeah.
for a great film. But so 30 days after sentencing, he gets the last sacrament from chaplain Philip Conley, and he's hung in the yard of Hobart Jail on July 19th, 1824. He was the first felon to be executed by the new Supreme Court and the first confessed cannibal to pass through the Tasmanian court system. After receiving his last rites, and apparently just before being hanged, his last words were, "Man's flesh is delicious. It tastes far better than fish or pork."
Get out of town.
I don't believe that.
Did you make that up?
No, that's in a lot of the reports, but I think, I don't know. That's terrible last words.
Oh, yeah.
No, but fuck
Yeah.
it.
He's
At least it'll be memorable.
Yeah, you got to go out like a big one.
You're gonna be killed. Like if he didn't, and he definitely did, but like
Yeah.
do all of this, and he's guilty of everything. But if you're not guilty and you're about to be killed, being
Yeah.
an innocent man, you're like, well, fuck it. People are not going to talk about me as the innocent man who's been killed.
That's true.
Double down.
Double
Double
down.
down.
Yeah, none of this fucking deathbed repentance. None of this, oh, I'm sorry I did all that. Just, it was class, and it's delicious,
Yeah.
and you're missing out.
And God told me to do it.
That's also a favor. I would have loved, actually, if they gave him a last meal and he was like, human,
Flesh.
boy.
Yeah, if they went.
Is that when they got the quote?
Sean over there,
what would you
yeah.
like for your last meal? Well, human flesh takes, but fucking.
Yeah. What do you like from the last meal? You.
Please.
You, mate. You with some gravy and chips, which we should have had in the forest. But
Yeah, that would have saved an awful lot of
Do
time.
you think you'd be tempted to try your own flesh if you knew you were about to be killed the next day?
Just start eating through?
Just like cook up your calf, or I don't know what part of a human body is good for.
You'll never
eating.
take me alive. I will.
I
I love the idea of him pointing to people as he said that, pointing to all the onlookers before
Yes.
he gets hanged, just going, "You're all delicious. You're all tastier than fish or pork."
That's like, well, and again, this is just setting it up for like a hard. So his skull gets donated to science afterwards. It ends up in part of a collection owned by a guy called Samuel Morton, who's an American scientist.
And also cannibalism.
Well, he was convinced of what is it, like phrenology, the study that like your skull, the shape and size of your skull or whatever, can predict that you're gonna be.
Nonsense.
Well, yeah, but they thought that like a criminal skull would be a different shape than a regular skull. So he has the skull, and then it got bequeathed by him when he died to the University of Philadelphia, where it's still on display today, apparently.
Philly.
Yeah, go birds.
That's within the
Yeah.
cheesesteak.
If you're listening in Philly, go check out that skull.
Yeah, a lot of the stories from this come from Pierce himself. So he made a confession. The first time he's caught, he makes a confession to Knopwood. He makes a confession to the commander of the Marquis Harbour after the second escape. And then he makes a final confession to Phil Connolly like the night before he dies. But there's inconsistencies even within his own story. But they do know for sure that of all the men who escaped the first time, he was the only one who survived.
eating burger.
He's a murder and he was found with like bits of human on him the second time.
That's right. Cock's jerky.
So that's pretty much it. So there's 3 films at least made
What are they
about the man.
called?
The Last Confession of Alexander Pierce from 2008.
Should have guessed.
Well, actually, they're all from 2008, 2009. So someone definitely pitched the idea, and everyone else stole it. But there's The Last Confession of Alexander Pierce, a film called Van Diemen's Land, and another film called Dying Breed.
Oh, don't breathe. I would love it if the third one was like, and there's a cooking show called
Yeah.
How to Eat Your Friends.
Bear Grylls survives in the outback.
Is it Wrong Turn 7? Or what's the Australian horror movie?
Wrong
Oh, is
turn.
it
There's
What's the one? Oh, is Wrong
Wolf-
Turn the American? Oh, Wolf
Wolf
Creek.
Creek.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Head
Wrong
on a
Turn's the
stick.
American hick one.
Okay.
Head on a Stick.
And then I found 2 songs about the man.
that's nice.
Yeah, a song called A Tale They Won't Believe by Weddings, Parties, Anything.
Oh, Weddings, Parties, Anything.
Yeah.
I had their CD. What's
Okay.
the song called?
A Tale They Won't Believe?
Ah, it might have been on this.
Maybe.
And the other
They got
one
some
was Men at Work, My Overkill.
Well, in that Tale They Won't Believe, in the opening lines, it's
Shoot a thrill.
they call him English, which is even though he's a murdering cannibal,
He might have been a
he's
cannibal,
our
but he's
murdering
our
cannibal.
cannibal.
He's Irish.
Yeah.
Murdering cannibal. You can't call him British. How dare you?
It's outrageous. And then there's a much better song by a band called The Drones.
Oh, yeah.
Another Australian
I
band.
think it's
I
called The
don't know.
Drones.
The Drones.
It's a Drones. That's it.
Called Words from the Executioner to Alexander Pierce. But yeah, that's all we have on the Cannibal Man.
Let's go listen to Weddings, Parties, anyway.
Weddings, parties, anything. Yeah, they seem to be pretty big. They're like a big Australian band.
Yeah, man. I mean, I bought, when I was about 12, I had the CD.
Yeah.
My own money. My pocket.
Nah, it's sweet.
Good band, man. I like it. So I would have heard their song, but I wouldn't have known it was about old Piercy
Yeah.
and eating people.
Now you can go back and
I
listen
probably
to...
just thought it was a love song at the time.
Yeah, probably.
It was. He loved flesh.
I love this meat.
Yeah, so how much time do we have now? It's 7:25. You probably need to start setting
Probably
up
have to
soon.
go.
Yeah.
No, that's it. That's the end of the thing.
Well, so Damo, then, do you want to plug?
Oh, yeah. Since we're in the podcast world right now, and if you're listening, you're into podcasts, we get a podcast too.
Oh, yeah.
You'll probably be on it soon.
No.
Where we're recording right now in the, I guess, the backstage area, you could call it, of
Yes,
the Crackden Comedy Club in Dublin. And myself and Eddie Malarkey run it. So 6 nights a week. And we play clips, like the favourite bit of each act set. We play that and then talk backstage about comedy and whatnot. And then so you get a clip from all the performers' sets. And so it's like being in a comedy club and the backstage of a comedy club.
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's a great laugh, man. And we such good guests. You
Yeah.
know, you've been on a few times.
Sure,
Who
yeah.
have you had
You
on
gotta
so
come.
far?
You gotta come down as well. Well, let's see. Like we had
We're both
Eric
here now in the next week, or did you just hear? I'm
I
here
was-
next week.
Here last week.
Yeah, I'm down next
Yes.
week.
But, no, yeah, you can... So what's the name of the podcast?
You'll be on again soon. So
Yeah.
Crackden, CRAIC.
Yeah. Perfect.
There's another Crackden, but that's our side hustle.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we've got a
CRIC.
lot of American listeners who need that cleared up.
Yeah. So if you want to hear what it's like in an Irish comedy club, then definitely
Sure.
do. Like
And if-
the standard is so high here. Like the Irish people
Oh,
are
yeah.
so funny, plus all the guests that we get.
And if
from
you want
everywhere else.
to hear what it really sounds like in an Irish comedy club, you can also come to the Crackden.
If you're in Dublin or in Ireland and want to
Yeah.
come in, we're every night except Wednesday. So
Yeah.
just look up crackdencomedyclub.com or
.com.
just the Crackden on Insta.
And
we
we'll
have
link...
all the details, lineups, clips from the show,
Yes.
and then the podcast. You can just hear a
For
lot
sure,
of it.
yeah. We'll link all that stuff in the description to this, so you can go and click on all those links. And
That'd
find
be
out,
class.
the podcast and the live gigs and everything. And yeah, fucking thanks a million, Damo.
Anytime, mate.
that was great.
Anytime you want to talk about one of your own countrymen in
Yeah.
in my backyard eating people, give me a shout, man.
There's
I love
one or
it.
two Irish
so
men who've
many
made it over to
more.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's so
yeah.
many. There's-
But yeah, perfect. Cheers.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sure.
lads.
Sure, after.